Hello, welcome, Marlene here. It seems like an eternity since I've collaborated with Han. So today that's what I'm doing. I'm collaborating with my dear friend. We're working on snow globe projects. She's making one of her beautiful little 3D gingerbread scenes that she's so well known for. And I'm working on a slightly different version. So be sure to head over to her channel once you're done watching my video. Thanks so much for being here, and let's get to today's project. I'm just going to run through my parts here. So here's my little snow globe ornament thing, and I made the cookie about, I'd say, a centimeter smaller around, and that's so that to make sure that when I put my lid on, I don't have to worry about it hitting at all. And you can put a dab of royal icing under there so that it doesn't move around. Next, I put a little like mountain. This is a little mound of cookie that I cut with saran wrap. And the tree is going to stand right in there. That's going to help. And then the little snowman is going to be here. And that's why I've got a jelly bean. If you look here on my tree, I have a jelly bean in green so that it kind of hides in the green tree color. And that's going to give me some structural kind of help to stand the two cookies. The snowman will be slightly in front of the Christmas tree, so you won't even see the jelly bean. But it kind of anchors the two together and helps everything stand up properly. And now we're just going to quickly decorate the cookies. They have to dry before we can handle them to actually assemble this thing. Starting off with the tree decoration, I'm using a snowflake at the top as my ornament, and I'm using some kind of glittery pearls for the tree decorations. Now those aren't necessarily fully edible. I don't think it's disco dust, but this is just a decorative project, so I don't have to worry about it being edible. So you want to look to make sure to get edible sprinkles to go on there. I know it might sound weird, but in the cake world, there's often decorations that are just for decoration. You're supposed to take them off before you eat the actual thing. All right, now here I have green icing, and it's pretty thick. I'm not worrying about the stump at all. I'm doing a star and then pulling up, just like a tear shape, if you will. Now my tip, I could see, is clogged. Before I contend with that, I'm just gonna finish this and I'll deal with it after. There. And now, while this row is on, I just did it, I'm going to quickly add my sprinkles. I'm not gonna add my sprinkles at the end of it all, because the icing has time to dry, and I need to get these kind of pushed into the icing so that they're not just on the surface and not really like stuck in the icing. This thick icing tends to dry very quickly, which makes securing sprinkles on the surface of it rather tricky. So I'm using a needle, that's my kind of thing, and I just dip my needle that's covered in icing into my bowl of sprinkles, and then they stick onto the icing, and then I'm able to meticulously position my sprinkles. If you do it with your fingers or tweezers, it's much more tricky to pick them up and not damage your cookie. By using the needle, you can really get very precise, and usually you're doing minimal damage to your existing decoration. Make sure you get your sprinkles out of the way before you move to the next row. And now my next row of icing. You see, I'm just following the shape of the cookie, and exactly the same thing again. I'm dipping in my sprinkles here to get them to stick so that I can position these guys. And by working row by row, I'm sure to have them really adhere to my little section of icing that I want them on. You don't really have to wait for the thing to crust before working on the next section. This is just about the sprinkles being able to adhere. If the surface icing has crusted, the sprinkles will not stick on. And that's why I'm doing it this way. Even the icing dries on the tip of my needle, hampering my ability to pick up these darn things. And if you're working on Christmas, you know you want to be able to crank these out. So it depends how meticulous you want these sprinkles positioned. You can just kind of, you know, take a pinch of them and pass over. In my case, I've got two colors and I don't want to mix up my container. Now my final row. Oh, I forgot something. All right, so let's get this top snowflake on there. And the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to stick a jelly bean in the tree. So the icing's not dry, I can do that. And the jelly bean is to secure my snowman. And now I'm doing my last row of sparkles just below the tree topper. And we're just adding our last sprinkles, and now we want this to be completely dry before we can assemble our actual little 3D scene. Here's my snowman. As you can see, he's quite small. I'm just going to run through the sprinkles I'm using. I'm using Nonpareil, the tiny Halloween ones. I'm just using the black ones for his eyes and for his buttons. I'm using these little Wilton. They have these over the holidays. They're little candy canes. They're white and red in the container. I'm just using the red ones. And then I've got an assortment of these kind of sprinkles here. I'm just picking out the orange ones for his nose. So if they're too long and you have to break it, just tuck in the broken edge into the icing to hide that. And that's about it for my sprinkles. My icing, you can use whatever colors you want. I'm keeping it kind of in the blue tones to go with the decorations on the Christmas tree. I'm starting off here with some gray icing. I'm doing a straight line across the hat here just to kind of give me the shape. So this is straight like that. And then I'm grabbing my blue icing, and again, just slightly shorter. The same thing, I'm creating like the ribbon around the hat, and then I'm filling in the top here to create the top of the hat. So there's the shape of my snowman's kind of top hat, and you can shape that with your needle tool just to smooth over the icing. These small cookies just take a little bit more fiddling, obviously, than the bigger ones. And now, because I have the hat straight line, I can build kind of like a U shape for the head. And I'm starting here and I'm going around, creating the head here like that. You see, it's kind of like a D for you guys. And I'm just coming in and filling this area, building it up slightly, puffing it up. And the icing is stiff, so it's crusting quite quickly. And while my icing is kind of like sticky from the icing, I can dip that into my Nonpareil sprinkles and pick up my little tiny black sprinkles to create the face elements. On the mouth here, I'm adding my little pieces of coal, right? Like so. And the little nose, same thing. That's it. And now I'm taking that blue and tucking a blue shape just beneath the head like so. And again, building that up like that. And under that, I'm going to put the middle snowball. I'm about here. And you can make it whatever size you want. And we're going to pump this up again. We want it to have a little bit of relief, a little bit of interest. And I'm just smoothing out my icing. Like so. Adding my little buttons, my little coal buttons to the middle snowball. My needle's not sticky. There we go. And now I've got my brown icing and I'm just connecting here to the body, pulling out, and I'm just adding like fingers, but this is going to be hidden. Just adding the fingers to kind of give me more glue for this little candy cane. So I'm sticking my candy cane here in the wet icing so that it sticks there. Press that in, just like so. Let's turn to the other side, and now we're going to add an arm that's actually going to be visible. Just a line out. And if you want, you can kind of create a second and third line to create like fingers from the branch. Now we want this to crust a little bit. I'm going to work on this one so that the final snowball doesn't just blend into that second snowball. So I'm just connecting here and creating a round like that, and then just fill all this in. Now the base that everything's gonna hold, like the snowman and the tree, I think I'm gonna add sanding sugar just to differentiate it from the snowman. It's white and white, so sometimes if you want to have the same color next to each other, a good way to differentiate the two areas is with texture, not color. So the base will coat in sanding sugar. It'll be white, look like snow, be sparkly, and create like a separation between this little guy and the base, or else it'll just look like a big white blob. Okay, and that's it. We're gonna let this completely dry so that we can handle it. I forgot the little like scarf that's coming on top here, so I'm just going like that and letting it like hang off. That's why I put the scarf area that's around his neck at the same height as the head so that I could come in and add this and it would lay correctly. Putting together my little trees here, I have my little circle that I made rounded and I cut a little rectangle notch out of it, and in there I'm just squeezing in some super thick royal icing, and then I'm just putting that in like that, and that's going to help stand up my tree there. I've got this on a lid just so I can pick them up and they're not gonna fall over. And so here it is, my tree is standing up nicely. And you can see this is going to go in there. So I'm not attaching it yet, but I am putting it in there just so I can line up my stuff. I'm going to add a little dot of icing right here to secure this to that base cookie there. And now I'm adding my snowman. You see here that jelly bean? So the snowman goes here, the jelly bean anchors it in the back. I'm tempted to maybe add a little, I'm gonna have it here. So a little dollop of icing right there, and then go crazy at the bottom to make sure that there's plenty of snow to hold our little snowman in place. So this has to set up, and then we'll be able to come in and finalize the scene here with more snow to hide the cookie. If you look, you can see there's quite a bit of cookie exposed, so we're just coming in and just quickly hiding the exposed cookie here. And we don't want to go too much on the side so that when we pop it in the snow globe or in the ornament container, that everything fits. And I'm just sprinkling this with a little bit of sanding sugar for some added shine, and that's it. Just like that. We have our little scene. After Christmas, I always hit the stores to see what I can pick up on Boxing Day. This cute roll of snowman ribbon you can see here at $6. It's a bit ridiculous. I think we can say that ridiculous. At 70% off though, it's a great deal. I also picked up these cute little kind of Christmas lights, and they're on a little clothespin. Then I got this cute twine. The thing about Christmas is they have a whole lot of red, and Valentine's Day is right after Christmas, and the big color there is red and white. So you can get stuff often that will work for Valentine's Day. Just think Valentine's Day when you're going in for Boxing Day. And now we're just going to finalize my little holiday domes, which by the way, I also picked up at 50% off last year after Christmas. And you can see here, they're awesome. Once you have your little scene done, you can pop that on. It makes it look like a little snow globe, which is over the top adorable, but it also keeps your cookies nice and fresh, which is fantastic, and it makes such a nice little presentation. So I'm just tying that, or screwing that on nice and tight there. And now I'm going to start with my twine. I like to kind of gauge there about, fold it, and then I tie a knot. I don't run it through the little hole. I first tie the knot, and then I run it through, and then I pass it through the loop. I find that that works better. Then this doesn't move. It just holds it really in place. Next thing is the advanced bows, which I don't know if you guys have ever caught that video. If you can start making your bows now, get to it. So with this twist tie, I'm just pushing that through my little clothespin here. Is that going to fit? They fit the other ones. I'm just pushing it through. There's a wire, so it makes it easy. And in the center of a clothespin, there's like a little steel round. So I'm running that through, folding it in behind, and then doing a little twist. And I want to have my twist tie the same direction as that clothespin, so like so. Next, I've got my ribbon here. I'm just going to clean up the edge and create. So you fold it, and then you cut up, and it creates a little triangle, and then when you open it, you have a perfect little tail on your bow. And then you form kind of like those ribbons for breast cancer and different things. So you just shape it like that, and you can gauge how big it's gonna like be. You just adjust. So now I'm pinching it with my finger. You see I'm holding it, and you don't cut anything until you've got the thing assembled and you like it, so you don't waste any ribbon. So I'm just pinching it like so, and then I'm going to run my twist tie in front of it there. Make sure that the clothespin is angled down so that it can catch your little card. And then in the back, I'm tying tightly, twisting tightly the ribbon and that, and then you want to have that go sideways this time so that you can attach it to your gift. So let's flip it back, and we just shape it. You stretch it and shape it. Now you'll be able to cut the other tail. You fold it in half, the same thing, and cut up and there. Try to cut in between, like here I have snowman. Try not to cut right in the middle of the snowman. And now I'll be able to attach this onto my little scene and twist tie that. And you can trim the twist tie if you find that it's not nice, and spread that open, and you can just clip on your, so here's my cards. These are whatever you want to make. So they sell packages of this, same as photocopy paper, it's card stock. I've printed it so that it works with my hole punch. So my hole punch is 2 inches square, and so I made this 2 inches square and formatted it in there so that I would have a white perimeter. And then I go upside down so I can actually see, and I center my card. Now you can have whatever you want. Merry Christmas, I just did my logo for the sake of this video. There we go. And then you can just pop that into your little clothespin. And yeah, it does hide the seam, but it also kind of, you know, if it says Merry Christmas, then they reveal it, kind of like a unveiling, if you will. And another thing, if you wanted, they sell Scotch tape, holiday Scotch tape. You could put some nice decorative tape right along here, which would be nice. I think I might actually do that. I should have done it before putting the cookies in, mind you, but that's another option. I did pick up the holiday Scotch tape last year. Here is my completed project once again. I just want to mention, be very sure that you measure and try to kind of plan things. As you see, the dome there is rounded. So if you have a very tall cookie, first of all, obviously the top won't fit. And if it's square, it's not going to fit. The edges are much lower than that center area in the dome. So try to think about that as you're picking your cookie cutters. And now be sure to head over to Haniela's channel to watch her beautiful 3D gingerbread snow globe. That's a mouthful. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads, and I'll see you next time.